Welcome back to Meaning in Christ. Today, we're exploring a theory that could reshape how we understand one of the most foundational stories in history, the Exodus. While it's traditionally viewed as the collective liberation of all the Israelites from Egyptian slavery, what if it originally only applied to one specific group? I'm talking about the Levites, the tribe of Israel that later became the priestly class. Some scholars suggest that the Exodus might have been their story alone, a historical experience that became a shared national myth over time. Let's start with the Levites themselves. The Bible tells us that they were descendants of Levi, one of Jacob's sons, and that Moses, the central figure of the Exodus, was a Levite. But what sets the Levites apart from the other Israelite tribes is that they never received a specific territorial inheritance in the Promised Land. Instead, they became priests, responsible for maintaining religious laws and rituals across Israel. Here's where it gets interesting. Some scholars believe that the Levites could have been a distinct group of people who were actually enslaved in Egypt, perhaps as priests, laborers, or even captured migrants. Their unique role as priests in Israelite society may have preserved the memory of their escape from Egypt, an experience that later evolved into the Exodus story as we know it. If the Exodus began as the Levites' story, how did it become the defining narrative for all the tribes of Israel? Much like Thanksgiving in the United States, originally specific to the Pilgrims in Massachusetts, the Exodus story may have started as a regional tale that expanded into a national symbol over time. Just as Thanksgiving has come to represent national unity and shared values in the US, the Exodus evolved into a foundational myth that symbolizes freedom, divine deliverance, and covenantal identity for all Israelites, even those who didn't have direct ties to the Levite experience in Egypt. The Levites, as the priestly class, played a key role in teaching and promoting the Exodus story. Their status as religious leaders allowed them to spread the narrative and adapt it to fit a broader Israelite context. The story wasn't just about their liberation, but became about God's deliverance of His chosen people, all the tribes of Israel. So why did the Exodus story endure as a national myth? It's because it represents themes that transcend tribal identity: the struggle for freedom, divine justice, the establishment of law, and the journey to a promised land. These are universal themes that resonate across all tribes, making the story adaptable and relatable throughout Israelite society. Moreover, the theological elements of the Exodus, God as the deliverer and lawgiver, were essential in unifying the Israelite tribes under a single God. This helped shift Israel from tribal polytheism to a more centralized form of monotheism, with the Exodus serving as a religious and moral anchor for the emerging nation. The Levites didn't have land to cultivate or cities to govern. They were focused on spiritual leadership. Their lack of territorial ties made the Exodus story a perfect rallying point. It provided a shared sense of origin and destiny, which was crucial for creating a cohesive identity among tribes that were often divided by geography and resources. The Levites' centralized role in worship and teaching allowed them to integrate the Exodus story into Israelite festivals, rituals, and legal codes. For example, Passover, one of the most important Jewish holidays, commemorates the Exodus and reinforces its themes of liberation and divine favor. Over generations, the Exodus narrative was embedded into the Torah and other religious texts, making it not just a Levite story, but a collective memory that united all the tribes under the covenant with God. But what evidence supports this theory? Let's break it down. 1. Archaeological evidence. The lack of direct evidence for a mass Israelite exodus from Egypt supports the idea that the story may have originated with a smaller group like the Levites. 2. Priestly influence. The priestly source of the biblical text, which emphasizes the Exodus narrative, aligns with the Levites' role in shaping Israel's religious practices and laws. 3. Lack of territory. The fact that the Levites had no land inheritance suggests that their identity was rooted not in territory, but in their priestly and historical role, potentially linked to their Egyptian past. Just like the Pilgrim's Thanksgiving became a story for all Americans, the Exodus story became a universal narrative for all Israelites, regardless of their actual historical connection to the events in Egypt. It provided a sense of shared identity and continuity that transcended tribal divisions and emphasized Israel's special relationship with God. The story's power lies in its flexibility. It could represent both the Levites' escape from oppression and a metaphorical liberation for all the Israelites, symbolizing their collective covenant and purpose. So, what do you think? Could the Exodus really have started as a Levite story that grew into the national myth of Israel? And what does this say about how national identities are formed over time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, as explored my thoughts on this topic. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the intersections of faith and history.